immortality can be a lot of ways. For example, immortality for you might be through your books. Immortality for my grandma will be, this painting. Immortality for me would be, passing the baton of life and having kids. And so the key here is to understand that maybe these technologies, while they provide that satisfaction, quote unquote satisfaction, they're really, if you put it on perspective, like what you're saying, Eric, they're robbing you from your most precious asset, which is your time.
Yeah. Naval's got a good a summary of this, as he does most things, which is like the devil is cheap dopamine. Whether that's sugar or TikTok or Instagram or porn or like whatever. There's a lot of people, like, cheap dopamine sells, man, and obviously it sells. But it is on all of us to know that behavior is not in our best interest, and to resist it whenever we get the chance, and that there's a real, like, meaningful satisfaction on the other side of breaking some of those tough habits.
And especially in today's world, we're being bombarded with so much input that, for example, the work you've done with the Almanack of Naval and the Anthology of Balaji, you're curating these ideas. And so you're allowing us to cut through the noise of everything that's happening and allow us to distill these quick not quick ideas, but I say quick because they're, I understand them, but they're also like timeless. So like what you say on, impatience with actions, patience with results, that's such a clear idea, but that's ingrained in the way I operate. And so how do you see your role, Eric, in this new era of, instant information, rapid information? But, for me, you've slowed down time with these books, but in the overarching sense of curators, how do you see the role of curators unfolding in this new era?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of value in curation, and the more, like, creation has gotten very cheap, right? Like, anybody can tweet, anybody can blog, anybody can podcast, and there's a lot of more people creating than ever before, which is incredible. And I don't want to change that, and I want that to accelerate, and I want more and more and more and more people to create more things. Along with that, I think the role of curation and recommendation becomes incredibly important. Like, how are we going to find the best of the things that are being created? And I think that there is still a really valuable human role to play in that. I don't trust, it is not that I just don't trust the algorithms, it's that algorithms may never be able to capture sort of the most important part of that experience of, like, humans sharing things with each other. But most of our selection right now is done by algorithms. And so the curators, yes, share and select. There's a taste to that I think is really important. And it's a fantastic way to sort of get to know someone, get to trust someone, find somebody whose worldview resonates with yours or doesn't, but you're learning something really interesting from them. I don't know that this falls under, this is kind of a subcategory of curator to me, but I think there's an incredible value to be created in transforming mediums, which is really like what I've done, right? There's super valuable, timeless lessons being shared on the internet every day that are just disappearing into infinity in these, like, ephemeral platforms and these super real-time algorithms. And what I've done is just rescue them from disappearing and put them into a form factor that is much more timeless. Books are thousands of years old. Hopefully they are still around in thousands more years. And if I can capture, 10 years of someone's, like, most useful ideas and put them in a book, and that capsule can continue to exist and endure, then that's value that's been created. On the other side, I'm going to mention Founders Podcast again. Like, there's nobody better. David is making incredible content, and he's reading books and sharing them in the form of a podcast for people that don't have 40 hours to read, an enormous biography or read the hundreds of biographies that David has. You can listen and sort of get value from his experience and his wisdom and his time reading those books and learn some of the most important lessons from them. And he's transforming mediums. He's creating value. He's moving from a book to digital, and there's incredible value in that too. So I think of him as a curator and a creator. And there's just there's a lot of work to be done that's valuable work to do. I think it's a Munger quote, say like the best thing a human being can do is help another human to know more. And I don't ever feel this pressure to come up with great ideas. I think I don't think people trying to come up with great ideas are egotistical. I just find it like the path of least resistance and least pressure for my ego is like collecting and recognizing and sharing great ideas, right? Like I don't sit here in front of a blank page and try to create genius. I just try to recognize it when I see it. And when I see an incredible line from Charlie Munger or Naval or Balaji or Elon Musk or Steve Jobs or Claire Hughes Johnson, or like there's genius all around us, and we just need to recognize and share the good ideas. And hopefully the good ideas overpower the bad. Like the closing of my podcast is always, every good idea you adopt, every new friend you make brings us one step closer to utopia. So like, let's fight the bad ideas. Let's embrace the good ones. Let's be sure we label them correctly, because that's not always easy. And that's what moves us all forward.
There is this chapter in the Anthology of Balaji where you discuss the mindset of abundance, right? And what you've touched on right now is, what he said, which is win and help win, outlives always, live and let live. And so when I think about the books that I have right now next to me, I do think about Naval and I do think about Balaji, but I think about you especially. I think about you taking the time, the consideration, and also, like you say, it's such an incredible amount of work that involves trying to distill what really matters and putting it in a infinite form, which is physical, paradoxically. And it blows my mind because, like you say, we've become so obsessed in trying to come with a new idea that we forget about what Nassim Taleb says, the Lindy effect, right? The Lindy ideas. And so I really like and appreciate you doing that, because at least for me, when I think about, for example, these conversations or what I'm trying to share with the world, I'm, in a way, I love giving credit to people. I love doing it. I find that so satisfactory that I don't. It's crazy to think that we're still, because I know that you're an extremely optimistic individual that I really appreciate, because we kind of think of life of being the normal convention of life is that it's a zero-sum game. That if I win, you need to lose. But people like you are showing us, Balaji, Naval are showing us that a win-win, all of us win-win scenario is better for everyone, because, the overarching theme of this conversation also, Eric, is we're trying to, literally build infinite. And how do we build infinite when someone else loses? So how can you figure that out? How can we build progress long-term in life when someone else loses?
Yeah, it's a good question. And I think it's an important thing for everyone to understand. There are domains that are zero sum, and it's important to understand that in order to understand which domains are truly positive sum. There's a mistake. It was a tremendous mistake and a very dangerous one to apply the zero sum mindset to every aspect of life, because the most important games are positive sum.